Hi, I'm Chris Morin. Welcome back to HVAC Pro Blog. This week, I'm excited to share a video that was created exclusively for my Patreon members 1 year ago, titled Top 10 Sales Habits. We'll discuss lead generation, building relationships, qualifying a lead or opportunity, making presentations, serving customers, account management, territory development, building a cookbook for success, continuing education, and executing a system. Without further ado, here's the training. All right, so the first habit that I want to talk about is lead generation. And specifically, we're going to start with prospecting. What we want to do is define what you're looking for should be like an avatar. You should know the name, age, gender, occupation, income, maybe assign them a background, give them a backstory. That way you can vividly think of who your target audience is. Now, this could be a homeowner for an HVAC company that you would love to target down the road when you're marketing, but you know you're going to work well with. So as an example here, you might not target to 30-something MBA engineers that are new homeowners. All right, that might not be your target audience. You might have some experience with them. Maybe it's more like the 40 to 50-year-old couple that are going to be empty nesters, that live in the suburbs, that sort of backstory. That way, when you decide on these items to advertise to, you know where and how to advertise, right? So maybe other items like where they grew up, what their aspirations are, the passion for their work. I mean, really, you should have it to the point of being able to close your eyes and see a person. And this goes the same if you're an HVAC distributor or a territory manager, and the companies that you look for that you want to work with. You probably are not compatible with every person in every company out there. We all have those guys that are awesome. You love to see them. They love to see you. They take advice. They pay their bills on time. And then we all have the other guys too, right? So if you want, in that example, person A, then you should advertise and look for those people when you're at industry events, dinners, things like that, or when you're making cold calls, right? And you'll quickly identify, is this a person I want to do business with, right? All right, another way for prospecting is technician lead generation. Now, this is something I felt superior as a tech and a service manager at. What I would do is I would offer 3 documented system upgrades on every service or maintenance call. So like as an example, if I was out on an air conditioner maintenance call, this could include an upgraded dual run capacitor or a surge protector and an IAQ product or a labor warranty, right? There's many things that you can put into 3 offers no matter what the type of call is. Also, I made it a point when it was about 10 to 15 years old, I would consider having the replacement option conversation on maintenance calls, not when the system needs repair, right? Because then people are very skeptical. They think they can get it repaired for less money. And also as a service tech, I really wanted to repair the system, right? I didn't necessarily want to turn over that lead to the sales department like I should have. All right, another way when it comes to prospecting is referrals. So referrals, it's common to train to tell a sales team to ask for referrals, but unfortunately, this just rarely happens in practice. So you have to make it easy for the person to provide a referral. Maybe it is a form on a website, or there's a QR code on your business card, or maybe you give them an incentive and keep that incentive really consistent, right? Because these people will talk to each other. You've probably, if you're an HVAC contractor, done jobs for the family of your daughter's friend, right? Not to say I've done that before, but it's a great example. Let's say they played soccer together or something, right? They're going to end up talking if they start giving referrals to each other, and they're going to know how much they got. So keep it consistent, all right? But maybe if you're a distributor, you could institute some sort of referral program too. Because guess what? HVAC contractor owners and salespeople, they talk to each other too. All right, so let's move on to number 2, which is building relationships. One of the best ways to build relationships, I've actually read in the book by Dale Carnegie, How to Win Friends and Influence People. And that's really just to become genuinely interested in other people, right? It seems so easy, but when you're genuinely interested, you start conversations and you ask questions and you listen and you ask follow-up questions. And what you start to do is build strong relationships that are based on trust. And you're going to want to be honest, right? So it's really easy. I'm not one of those people that tell a lie or anything like that. I find it's much easier to be honest, and then I don't have to keep track of all that crap that somebody said, right? Also, make sure in order to build that trust, you consistently check in. So really what this means is you follow through on anything you said and you follow up. So if you're an HVAC contractor, maybe you want to check in with a homeowner 2 to 3 days after a quote or a contract is signed, right? And then maybe again a week after the installation to make sure everything's good, right? You're going to start building trust, and when there's a problem, they're going to call you. That's a good thing, right? And you can do the same thing when you're talking about an HVAC contractor, right? So maybe after a big job was delivered, you call and check in again a week after that to make sure there wasn't anything missing or there wasn't anything damaged, right? And build trust with that homeowner. All right, moving on to number 3, the third habit is qualifying a lead or opportunity. Now I know this can be hard, and a lot of times it's put on the person taking the lead at the contractor, right? But really, it's up to the salesperson to determine a reason to do business with them, right? So what you don't want to do is waste your time, right? There needs to be a reason they need to buy something, right? A system's down, they want to upgrade their home, they want to be more comfortable, better indoor air quality, whatever the reason is. Otherwise, you're wasting your time out there, right? Also, too, it'll help you from missing opportunities, because when you're actually qualifying a lead and qualifying that, and there's a reason to do business with them, you can start working on the rest of the things like financing or whatever it is if they can afford it, right? So you don't want to miss those opportunities, but you also don't want to close bad deals either, right? So you don't want to force that, and then they get buyer's remorse, or they can't afford it, or you didn't have that trust like we talked about in the previous habit, and that was a customer you shouldn't have done business with, right? So you want to qualify these leads. Now, one method is to identify a pain point. I'm not a fan of that one. I prefer the solution-based selling, and I'm going to give you more on that in the next habit, okay? You should think of the acronym BANT. If you've ever heard this one before, it's budget, authority, need, and timing. So budget, how do they plan on paying for this purchase, right? Do you offer financing? Do they have the cash or the equity in their home? Authority, are all the decision makers there, right? Are you talking with the buyer? And this also applies to contractors. Sometimes you think the buyer is the owner, when in fact they have a general manager or an installation manager or a project manager that's actually the buyer. You make sure you're talking to the person of authority. And let's be honest, in my house, that's my wife, right? Let's go to N. N is for need. Is there a definite need for your products and services? And what are you competing on, right? So if they have a need, you should not be competing on price. You're hoping that after your presentation, they're actually going to think, geez, I hope I can afford this company. And it's not going to be about price, it's going to be about value. And then, of course, the last letter in BANT is T. And in the acronym, that's for timing. When is the project going to happen, right? So if there's a short or a long timeline. Now this, when it's really busy, like let's say it's after Memorial Day weekend and all of the leads that we get for the next 3 months come in like 2 weeks, maybe timing is a determining factor on when I put them on the schedule, right? If there's a system down and they're an existing customer, that might be priority A, right? And then you move down through the priorities there. Let's get to number 4 in the 10 top habits of a salesperson, and that's making presentations and quality presentations. You want to offer solutions to the problems, and in order to do this, you have to make sure you prepare for these sales calls. There needs to be a process. So as an example here, for preparing for a sales call, right? It's easier to sell a bundle to the homeowner if you always do these types of systems. So the bundle might be, let's say, a furnace, an air conditioning coil, and a condenser at the highest efficiency that qualifies for utility rebate and financing and all the different things. It's one bundle. And this is our label, whatever you want it, bundle. That is preparation, right? Now, you have to also make sure you educate them on why they should buy, right? So why should they not just buy the solution today, but why they should buy it from you? It's really important. And this goes both ways for the consumer and for the contractor if you're a territory manager out there, right? What value are you providing in order for them to continue to come back to you? Because guess what? They can buy similar products, and sometimes the same manufacturer, at other distributors. And if you make it about price, somebody's going to lower their price against you. So you have to bring the value. You're going to be solution-based selling. Sometimes as a territory manager, that is training or business support or service support that your distributor offers, or all the other things that you do to provide value, okay? Next thing on there when you're making this presentation is you need to make sure you offer social proof that they're not the first nor the last person to buy from you, right? And you want to be able to show them all the happy customers that you have. The best contractors do this with customer reviews that they house on their own website, okay? And then the third piece here is professionals use the right tools. Now, if I was making a presentation today, I'd be using an iPad in the home, and I'm going to use a high quality presentation tool. There's tons of them out there. I'm not going to start listing them off. The ones that you're comfortable with and that you've used in the past. You never want to run this tool for the first time in front of a homeowner. It's not going to give them the best vibes, right? They're not going to get a good sense of the quality and the confidence if that's the first time you've used that tool, right? So be a professional, prepare for those sales calls, and use the right tools on those sales calls. That includes doing a load calculation and all the other things I preach about, right? All right, let's get to number 5. So this would be almost halfway through of the top 10 sales habits, right? And that's serving your customer. So what you want to do is provide a superior customer satisfaction. And this is easier said than done. But really, the way you do this is to provide something memorable. Do something memorable for them. That's a positive thing, not a negative memorable thing, right? If you do this, it's going to give them a reason to talk on the positive side and give you a positive review and tell their family and their coworkers and everybody all about you, right? Are you giving them a reason to leave a positive review, or are you just meeting expectations and think that's going to give you a positive review? Because it's not. In fact, it'll give them a point where they're indifferent and they're not going to leave a review. If you're trying to get good reviews, you didn't take the extra step, right? Also, you want to educate them with useful, relevant content consistently. So capture their email address and nurture them if you have to, or keep in touch with them after you do that, let's say, system replacement in their home, right? So always give them relevant content. Don't just sell to them. Now, this seems so simple, but you just have to show that you care. It's not hard. And in the construction industries and the trades, there's just a lot of people right now that don't care. That's all you got to do. It seems really easy. All right, number 6 is account management. What that means is you want to maximize the business in each account. The ways to do this, maybe you reward your most loyal customers, create some sort of loyalty program. I've seen people actually institute loyalty programs when it comes to maintenance, and then when they do their system replacement, they get money off. I've seen them, obviously we talked about referrals in the past, but that's part of a loyalty program. It's part of a bigger whole. I've also seen things like points be awarded for purchases from a distributor if they're buying their more profitable items, right? So there's a lot of different things that can go into creating loyal customers outside of just a reward, right? But maybe you make it a formal thing and reward them, right? Invite them to events. We actually had a customer not too long ago celebrate their 50th anniversary, and they invited all of their commercial accounts to their office for a big barbecue. It was really cool. I personally wasn't able to attend, but everybody that went said it was awesome, and it's memorable, and they're going to talk about it, and they're going to maximize that business with those accounts, because guess who they're going to think of the next time they have a problem looking for a solution, right? The one that they just saw, that they went to their office and they got to meet everybody. They know who's on the other side of that phone when they call. Okay. All right. Number 7 is territory development. And this seems really easy. Like, oh, I'm developing my territory, right? Do you have a goal, right? If you don't, then there's nothing to manage to, and you're not really developing. Okay. So you have to create a strategy. Now, this could be sometimes honing in on a territory if you're an HVAC contractor and you're not traveling too far away from your office every single morning or away from where you get your products or whatever it is. Sometimes that's retraction in order to be better at your development locally, right? So you realize that your target customer, your avatar, there's plenty of them within 20, 30 miles of your office, let's say. So therefore, you're advertising to a much smaller area than try to do everything for everyone. Sometimes I'm no longer going to install and offer the products that are the least expensive to a different market that does not meet my standard when it comes to customers or houses or the work that I do, right? I don't want to sell a low-cost, low-price item that I can't make money on and provide service and warranty when I could be doing higher project cost items with higher profitability in order to help expand and grow my territory and my business, right? All right, let's get to number 8, and that's building a cookbook for success. All right, this seems, I know, a little bit of a stretch here, but really, you want to establish productive sales activities and then track key performance indicators, right? If you track these, then you're able to take steps to improve them. If you don't track key performance indicators like close rate or sales calls run or average ticket, or I mean, there's a whole bunch of KPIs out there. But if you're not tracking them, how do you expect to improve them, right? So then you can start incrementally getting better. Let's say 1% better every year, right? Or 10% better every year when it comes to my sales goal, okay? Or there's all these different things that you can start to do to improve when it comes to having that cookbook for success, right? So now you have that cookbook. After you start taking steps to improve them, you have to actually learn how to do that, right? So number 9 is continuous education and being a lifelong learner. Once you graduate high school or vocational school or college, that's not the end. That's the beginning of your career, okay? I personally get in trouble all the time at home or even when I'm out on vacation. I tend to always be reading stuff that has to do with my industry or stuff that's outside my industry that I can apply to HVAC and sales, okay? So be a lifelong learner. There's many different ways. When I'm behind the windshield, I try not to listen to a lot of music. I actually listen to podcasts and books on tape. If I'm driving for 3 hours to Vermont or something, okay? There's ongoing product and marketing and your market and sales knowledge, stuff that you can actually learn every day and every week. So always be a lifelong learner. That's the 9th habit. And we're going to close this out with the 10th, and that is execute a system. So everything I was talking about as you define these items will fit into your system. And that's how you're going to master the sales process, by constantly improving and learning and applying it to your system. If you don't have a system and you've never been trained, then every sales call you run, you're reinventing the wheel. And you don't know why you didn't sell that product or why you didn't sell your distributor or your service, right? If you have a system, you know exactly where it went wrong. And maybe that's just not the customer for you. Or maybe they had no way to afford that, so they couldn't qualify for financing. Or there's a multitude of things, right? So if you have a system, you can start to improve the system. So, what did you think of the top 10 sales habits I have? Did I miss one that you think should have made the list? If so, please consider leaving them in the comments below. If you like these videos and want access 1 year early, please consider heading over to my Patreon page where you can join for as little as $8 a month. Thanks for joining me this week at HVAC Pro Blog, where we provide advice for residential system design, quality installation, and system diagnosis. I'll see you soon.